Excellent. My grandmother's cookbooks. I'll make an excellent grandmother someday because I love giving presents, my cookie jar is never empty, and I love old-fashioned grandmother-style cooking. I'm making Savoury Swiss Chard Tart, which has raisins and pine nuts in it, a delicate pale and creamy stew called Blanquette de Veau, on the side carotte Vichy, shiny carrot coins cooked in fizzy water and glazed with butter, and slow-baked honey wine pears. Pears cooked in red wine until they're plump. I guess if I plan to be a grandmother, I'd better have some children first. Details, details. If it weren't for my mother, I'd never get any mail. She still has it in her to write a letter and to send me things. I asked for my grandmother's cookbooks. They were lost for a few years and then she found them. Oh, look, all nicely wrapped. Look at that one. That's my great-grandmother's, I can tell by the handwriting. This one is my grandmother's. Donuts. Apparently she was famous for her donuts. I'll get to these in a second. You know, there's a whole category of cooking known as cuisine grand-mère in France, so grandmother cooking, and it's all those recipes, old-fashioned things that are honed to perfection from years and years of being made over and over again. I'm making a Savoury Swiss Chard Tart, an old-fashioned recipe from the south of France, traditionally sweet, but I like it savoury. I'm using 3 slices of bacon. Now I need an onion or shallot. Actually, I'll use the shallot. And just 1 garlic. Chop the bacon. So I'll cook the bacon. It will cook in a second. The bacon is cooked and I'm taking it out but leaving the fat behind. Here goes the shallot. Now the garlic, just 1 minute so it doesn't burn. That's the base, onion, bacon, and garlic. And now the star of the show, chard. I'm just going to cut the stems off the leaves because the stem part takes longer to cook. You could use spinach here too instead of chard if you want to. I'm chopping the stems. Cut them small enough so you get little tiny bites throughout the tart. Okay, now I'm just going to put a splash of water in here. And in go the stems. Salt and pepper. And then I'm going to shut them in there until they cook. I want them nice and soft. Now you can chop these after they're cooked if it's easier, but since I have to wait anyway, you have to chop them, otherwise you get these big strands coming out of the tart. You want them small. Eek. I want to steam these leaves and then smother them. Then they wilt. Now, for the custard. It's basically 3 eggs to 1 cup of milk, or cream, or whatever. So 3 eggs, a cup of creme fraiche. Creme fraiche is nice though because it's not quite as tart as sour cream. It's sort of in between. Don't forget to salt the custard. I have a nice rustic tart shell, which I did in a springform pan. I'm going to layer up everything. Bacon, shallot, garlic, right into the chard. Raisins, a couple of handfuls. And pine nuts, which I just toasted lightly because it brings out even more flavor. And cheese. This is Gruyere. This cheese is a good melting cheese. And just stir everything together. So in it goes into the shell and it's going to fill it right up. Pour the custard over. And then into the oven for about half an hour. It looks really celebratory because there are so many colors in there, and I love how high the sides are. Great. Next, for main course, I'm going to make Blanquette de Veau, white veal stew. This is me assisting with my brother's magic show. This is my first grocery list. 1 bottle of cough medicine, please, and 2 cans of lemonade, please. My great-grandmother holding me. There's the recipe for donuts. Fried in lard. One of my favorite pots, a cocotte. Good for old-fashioned grandmother-style stews. That's what I'm making, a Blanquette de Veau, which is a white veal stew, very pale and delicate and white. First I'll do the onions. So, pearl onions, and you just blanch them in boiling water to get the skins off more easily. 30 seconds and whoop. I don't cook veal very often, but this is a classic dish where everything is pale and white and creamy, and veal is, of course, the white red meat. Okay, now next, this is very weird, but it's the meat, and you blanch it first because it will make the stew even whiter. I've got it chopped into 1-inch cubes. Just prepping ingredients. Mushroom caps, no stems. 1 peeled carrot. And an onion studded with 2 cloves, which is as old-fashioned as it gets. That's good enough for me. No patience. I'm going to put the meat right into my cocotte. So you just put in a carrot, the onion, these are for later, and cover it in chicken stock. Oh, and a bouquet garni. I need thyme, bay leaf, and parsley. Let's tie this in a bundle. Bouquet garni. And some salt and pepper. And then it gets simmered very slowly, and this is a nice pot because it seals so well. I'm going to put it on a back burner, just on a low flame for 1.5 hours until the meat is soft, but not falling apart. And while that's happening, you can entertain yourself by peeling onions. Now, mushrooms and onions are the garnish. For this, just a little butter. And I want some color. This is where my Blanquette de Veau goes off the rails. Because it's never blanc. In fact, my friend calls my Blanquette de Veau Beigette de Veau. Very funny. And that's because I'm frying things in butter because I like them golden. I can't help it. And let them brown. And then lower the heat. I'm pouring in the rest of the stock and then just simmer those until they're tender. Now, that looks fantastic. And then drain it. But save the liquid. Don't drain it and lose it down the sink. Taking out the bouquet garni, the carrot, and the onion. So the garnish can go right into the pot. And then this wonderful meat goes right back in here too. Now, I just need to reduce this sauce. I'll do it right in here. It'll go quickly in a big pan, down to 2 cups. The sauce needs thickening, of course. So I'm just making a roux, which is butter and flour. Okay, once you have your little roux going, whisk the sauce over the roux, and it makes a nice thick sauce. Thin it out a bit. Creme fraiche. I'm adding about half a cup. The sauce goes on the meat. It's very beautifully creamy. Just to dress it up, put a little chopped parsley. It's wonderful. So good, and the veal is so delicate. The creamy sauce is perfect for it. It feels very grandmotherly. This is perfect with carrots on the side, which I'll do later. But first, dessert, because a grandmother never forgets dessert. I'm making slow-baked honey wine pears. You know what's funny about these old English cookbooks, which makes them different from the French, is that in a French cookbook there's sort of balance between sweet and savory. But with an English cookbook, it's this much sweet stuff and baked goods and this much savory, because the English just boiled everything. In fact, there's a recipe in here for boiled salad dressing. Yum, yum. But speaking of sweet things, this is slow-baked honey wine pears. It's a very old recipe because it takes a long time at such a low temperature. Voila. Need an oven. It's a very, very slow oven. 250. Honey and pears. This is the world's easiest recipe. It just takes time waiting, but that's nothing. Okay, this recipe has half a cup of honey, you just need enough red wine to cover the pears completely. Next, poached pears are faster, but sometimes I find that the wine color doesn't have time to penetrate into the pears, whereas with this slow method, it really goes all the way through. You want nice, firm pears to start with. You don't want ripe ones. They'll just fall to pieces. So turn it off. The honey has to be dissolved, and the liquid has to be hot, because going into a 250 oven, it's not going to get hot very quickly. So heat it to begin with. And then drop in the pears. So then they go in the oven, get ready, for 4 to 5 hours, because it's such a slow oven. And they just soak in the wine, they lounge around in there, they drink it up, and when you take them out, they're just like they've been bathing all afternoon. Plunk, they just slump on the plate. This is the kind of time I wish I had a wood oven. You know, for an oven that was already on, starting to cool down, very low temperature, and things just had a different kind of heat. I'm so jealous of anyone with a wood stove. I want one. So show me everything about this magnificent creature in your house.
Well, that's one of the nice things about this stove is you don't have to control the temperature. You don't have to turn any knobs. It's just a matter of taking your pot, and if you want it high, then you put it right there over the fire.
Yeah.
And then as soon as you want to simmer, you just take it over. There's the medium.
Yeah.
And when you're finished cooking, then you just move it over some more and low.
It's waiting there warm.
So it's very easy to use. And then there's also the oven. So here's our oven. Of course. It's a full-size oven. And, and it has a thermometer on the front, so you know the temperature.
And do things taste different when they're baked in a wood oven?
I think they do. It's a much moister heat. It's like gas.
Yeah.
And they're less likely to burn.
What about wood smoke? Do you get any kind of...
No.
Because it's a romantic notion.
Yes, I'm afraid so.
Well, and I guess in here you can warm things up.
That's our warming oven.
Very nice.
And so it's very handy to put your plates in and your whatever's finished cooking, just to keep it warm.
Beautiful. Nice muffins.
Yeah. Thank you.
I don't know, sometimes you wonder, why did anyone invent anything else?
Come over, and we'll meet again. Come over, and we'll meet again.
You really have to watch it because they're so soft at this point. And then you boil the living daylights out of the cooking liquid to reduce it down to a really slick, sweet syrup. You can use simple whipped cream, or you can dress it up with vanilla, but even better, with cognac. It's so good with pears. So what you want with the syrup is something thick that it runs and that it will coat a spoon and it will coat the pears and run down their sides and look elegant. And the pears are so heavenly soft. They just melt in your mouth. There's just one more thing I want to do, and that's make some color for the side of that Blanquette de Veau. Carottes Vichy are the most beautiful thing. I'm making all grandmotherly food, which is to say all that cooking that is slow and heartwarming and makes you feel well looked after. I'm just reheating my Blanquette de Veau. And for the side, I'm making Carottes Vichy, or Vichy Carrots, which are named because of the water used to cook them. Lovely carrot from the market. You can cut these however you like, but there's something classic about glistening little gold coins of carrot. Because food and memory are so closely linked too, that if you taste something that your grandmother made and those same aromas are in your kitchen, it brings her back too. So the carrots just go in the pan. Now I like to add just a bit of sugar because then they caramelize a bit. Just a nice big spoonful. Salt. Now, Vichy water is very carbonated, so I'm going to make some with a little pinch of baking soda. And water. Tap water. forgot the most important ingredient. Butter, because this is what will glaze the carrots. So when all the water reduces, which cooks them, then the butter slicks over them, the sugar caramelizes a little bit, and you get these lovely, richly orange coins of carrot. I've got the most exquisite Swiss chard tart with raisins and pine nuts, really high sides. Then a pale veal and mushroom stew with pearl onions and a creamy, creamy sauce. And to go on side, these bright orange carrots with Vichy water. And for dessert, slow-baked honey wine pears. I wonder if this is a little premature. Maybe I should focus on being an aunt first. I'm going to be an aunt very soon, and they're much like grandmothers. They let you break the rules, they give you candy. I'll be a good one. Auntie Laura, nice ring. Aunt Laura, Auntie Laura. I like them both. Nice together. Oh God, that stew's good. Mamma mia.